Welcome back to the Coffee Bar. Charlene Coffee.
Tammy Bardo.
And we're back. It's
Yeah.
fall. Here
Look,
we are.
We got our tans on. How about that?
Right? Our
Yeah.
summer hair
Yeah.
highlights.
Whew.
We are not doctors, nurses, anybody that prescribes, treats, diagnoses. We are just two gals who have seen the benefits and lives changed from natural lifestyle
Yeah.
changes and oils and good stuff.
Yeah.
So, how was your summer?
It was fantabulous.
What'd you
It
do?
was. You made fun of me earlier.
She worked.
I work.
They live on a farm and
I like to work. Like
does.
that's what I do for fun. So, I worked.
good.
I grew some awesome pumpkins.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did. Yeah, that was fun. So,
What's your best crop this year? It was a weird year because it was so wet.
pumpkins. Yeah, we brush hogged our whole sweet corn field down, a couple acres. Just drove over it. It was worthless. So, anyways,
Disappointing,
that's
but
farming.
it is. That's exactly.
So,
Which is, a little anxiety causing things, but we're gonna get to that. Stop sniffing the CBD. My summer was good. Thank you for asking. I did not work all summer.
I was
That's
holding my breath.
That's,
Yeah.
Her dog goes crazy when I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't work all summer.
It's okay.
I mow grass, so I do like to mow grass. We didn't do anything like spectacular. We go away for a week for Bible school, and that was great. And
Mm-hmm.
we're back to routine and schedules, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
The older I get, the more I like schedule and routine. So
Yeah.
now the kids are back in school. We both homeschooled for a lot of years, but now all of our kids are in school, which is weird.
Yeah. So now we have time for stuff like this.
Yeah,
Our
fun.
kids really think that we do nothing all day. So.
Connor says I nap and cry all day while he's gone. I might cry sometimes, but
I do take naps.
I love a good nap.
I need naps.
But I'm a 15-minute nap
Yeah.
girl. So I can't do hours because then I can't wake back up.
Yeah. The world's a better place when Tammy Bardo takes a nap.
So comment down below if you feel like the world is a better place.
Yeah. All my family will be like, "Yep, high five,
Like,
woo,
right.
fist bump." Yeah.
I'm
all right.
kidding. Okay, so
Seriously.
now kids are back in school, and we can deal with all kinds of stuff like germs and friends and all that stuff. But today we're going to talk about anxiety and how it affects kids and even adults, because it's a huge problem in the world, and it's just getting your dog anxious.
I don't know. I'm gonna lose it here in a minute on this dog.
It's fine. The dog is fine.
I don't have anxiety.
Chew your nails off. So, anxiety, huge problem in the world, and our chemical lives and bodies are not making it any easier for us to deal with stress. So, that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so what I'm learning is it's a huge deal in the school system. And it's a growing problem. From a couple years ago till now, they're seeing a huge rise in anxiety. And I'm not talking like biting your nails anxiety or crying the first day of school anxiety. I'm talking these kids are paralyzed with fear and they can't function. There's kids that can't leave the house. There's kids that just can't function in the classroom setting. And it's big. And I'd say a couple times a month, I have somebody coming to me and asking me what to do, because this is something that is very personal for us. We had a child that dealt with severe anxiety that continues to deal with severe anxiety, and they want to know what we've done to help. So,
And children don't always say, hey, I'm having a rough time. It doesn't come out like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're seeing behavior in your children that doesn't it's not their normal and it doesn't add up. There's a thing on Facebook that goes around that says, oh, your kids weren't sick all summer, but now all of a sudden they have a stomachache and can't go to school. Like, that's a joke, like, because they don't want to go to school. But that's a very real sign of anxiety, and that they don't know how to deal with that. So,
yeah. So if your child is consistently complaining of stomach aches or headaches, it's a real thing. I'm not gonna lie though, some kids will just say that they do,
right,
because they don't want to go to school because there's video games at home and mom's at home and you don't have to sit in a classroom. I mean, like, who wouldn't want to stay home?
Especially with us.
We're so much fun. So
just ask our children.
With our story, Aiden was 11 when this all started, and he had a bout of strep throat. Actually, had 2 bouts back to back, and
isn't it interesting? 11 is when it has come out in my children as well.
Yeah, it's not an accident.
Right.
It's not an accident that this is around puberty is when a lot of these cases, a lot of these children are developing this severe anxiety. Trust me, I'm doing my research, but I haven't got to where, what is it? What are we missing? What's going on that's causing this age to struggle so bad?
Right.
So, literally, he quit going to school. He couldn't go to school. I could get him to the parking lot some days, and we could sit there for an hour, 2 hours, and he just physically could not go in the building. He quit wanting to play baseball, which we pursued. Sometimes we had to dress him and hold him in the vehicle and head down the road, because once he was out of the house and there, he did much better. But sometimes not. Sometimes in the middle of the game, he would struggle, and his dad was a coach, and so we knew this, and just tried to talk him through it. But I think this goes way back for Aiden. I think that he had these tendencies. I feel like I don't know if I should be using his name, but I feel like if he knew that it was helping somebody, he had tendencies from a small child of anxiety. I don't know if biting children in the nursery or biting in general is a sign of anxiety, but that was something that he did a lot just out of frustration. He just couldn't. I feel like there was this whirlwind in him and he couldn't control it. And the only way that he could make himself feel better was to lash out. And we saw that in other areas too. As he got bigger, he'd lash out at his siblings. He'd lash out at me. His dad, he couldn't sleep at night. He couldn't concentrate on things. His clothes felt funny. That can make a woman lose her ever-loving mind.
Yes.
When you're trying to dress
I don't even like to get my kids dressed to go out and play in the snow because their gloves feel funny or whatever, but to deal with it on a daily basis of socks not feeling right or shoes not feeling right, and that has come out in our children as well. And I mean, that's a battle that I just won't fight. Like, put Crocs on, I don't care, but that's not always
feasible.
Right, you can't always do that.
Right.
And my kids never went to misbehaving, but they just shut down. My boys especially couldn't function.
Right.
Lay in the bathtub and have panic attacks.
Yeah.
Couldn't function. So.
Yeah. Another thing that he exhibited, it's not every child with anxiety, but he bit his nails. He would pick at scabs. He cut furniture. He would have a pair of scissors, or if he found a seam in something, he would pick at that seam until the furniture was unraveled. I've sewn many couches back together. So like if we were to take a trip somewhere, he had to know from start to finish exactly how this trip would go, how long it would take to get there, how many stops we were making, how long that stop would take, things like that. And the whole trip there, he would need updates. Okay, now how much longer? So it was like the fear of the unknown is the root of anxiety. Like, so his elementary counselor described it to me like this: that imagine that a bear was chasing you at all times, just hunting you, like seeking you out. It was hiding here, waiting for you to step out so it could attack you. When they wake up in the morning, they're looking for that bear. That bear is out to get them. All day long, they don't know where that bear is going to jump out from, and so they're always on the guard because, you know, we know there's not a real bear, but in their mind, that fear is so real. And then they go to bed at night with those same thoughts, and they wake up in the middle of the night with those same thoughts, and
it might not be a bear, but it
Right.
could be windy. So, okay, is there a tornado?
Yeah.
Or is it if the power goes out? Or, you know, it's raining too much, so then we're going to have a flood. Or, I mean, it's anything and everything.
it couldn't, and sometimes it's something that they can't even pinpoint.
Right.
But their heart's racing, their palms are sweaty, they have no idea what's going on. So that really helped me. That story, her telling me like that, really put it into perspective to me, because I'm scared of the dark. And so, I mean, like, I picture like that fear because I don't know what's going to jump out like, when I'm in the dark. So I could relate to that in a sense. Golly, really?
Your dog
So,
has a little anxiety.
Yeah, seriously, it's only when Charlene's here. Come here, come smell this. Here, smell. Anyways, so that's our story. That's not every kid's story. And that, but it just helps you to know that, okay, so if you're seeing these things and your kid isn't like acting like they normally did, maybe that's a sign that they're struggling with something.
Right. Things that we did that seemed to help. Are we there? You
Yeah,
have things
do
you
it.
want to do?
Do it.
Which Tammy told us to do when our one son was struggling, was talk it through. Every single detail, everything, every single stage, every possible outcome. Like, one of the big fears was something happening to myself and my husband, and so we walked it through. You know, okay, what if something happens? What's going to happen? What are you going to do? Well, I'll be sad. Yes, you'll be very sad. You know, will your life be over? No. And then we would walk through that, and they would question, well, where are we going to live if something happens? Okay, where do you want to live? Let's talk about it. And
Tammy Bardo's house.
actually, your name was
I
mentioned.
know.
So things like that helped our children a lot. Our oldest son would say, like even now, he would say, sometimes I didn't believe you, but just talking about it, like, gave you a plan, gave you, you know, ideas of things, solutions to think about instead of just dwelling on the problem.
Yep. So at first we really thought, like, when Aiden got sick and started having these totally irrational fears, like the fear of leaving the house, I thought it was ridiculous. I thought that he was being bad. Like, and I feel horrible for that, but you do what you know, and you act with how you know. I didn't know. I had no clue what anxiety was. I knew people that had anxiety, and I really didn't understand, like, why they couldn't leave the house. Like, just get in the car.
Right.
And so
and we also grew up in a generation of, like, bad behavior, you punish bad behavior
Yeah.
and it stops.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't
Yeah.
any talk of anxiety.
Yeah. So we did change his diet because that's my go-to. Let's fix this naturally, and go from there. So we changed his diet. We removed gluten and dairy, which he was happy to do because he just wanted to be better. but he quit eating, like pretty much completely, and lost a significant amount of weight. We also used oils to help calm him. Valor was one, cedarwood, vetiver, rutavala, what other ones? Peace and calming.
Stress away. We use Sleepy Eyes. It's from the kids line of Young Living. It's a great oil. Even peppermint, frankincense, like even I think some of those. Just a basic peppermint. A friend of mine uses that just regularly. Just rub it over her heart, smell it. She says it's just calming to her.
It is. So that was all great, and it helped some, but he still wasn't leaving the house. And so we scheduled an appointment with the pediatrician, and the pediatrician referred us to counseling. And he has spent quite a bit of time in counseling, learning how to manage anxiety, because anxiety doesn't just go away.
Right.
It doesn't.
You don't just fix it with an antibiotic and
No.
you're better. Right?
No. So he has learned coping skills, and I went to counseling because I was a mess, because this is my kid, and I can't fix this. I can't fix this, and I don't know how to treat him. I don't know when to push him to, okay, you're going to school today.
Right.
There's no other options. You have to go to school. Like, you're going to be truant. You're going to go to school.
Right.
And there, in times where you just had to back off and let him sleep, because his body physically could not do it. I had to learn this. I had to learn when to push and when to back off. And honestly, like, God, like, just had to tell me. Like, I prayed and prayed, like, God, show me whether today is the day that I push him, or today is the day that he just has to sleep all day.
And you don't always get it right. I mean, and sometimes we ask our children, like, our youngest son has been struggling a little bit. So I ask him, do you know, is this a time? Do you want to do this? And you need me to be strong for you? Because kids don't always know how to do that.
Right.
Or is this a time you need me to just let you back off, let you not go to school, let you, skip out on whatever. But sometimes they don't know that. And so as a mom, you have to be able to look at the situation and the signs and trust that you're making the right choice.
And that security, that is security for them. I sat in the school parking lot for days, for months. For months. I sat in the school parking lot until I knew that he was okay. And he felt security by knowing that I was sitting in the school parking lot. So I would take my Bible study, or I would take whatever I needed to do that I could do in the car, and I would work. So that sense of security and reassurance, telling them that, man, buddy, I know you're struggling. I know this is hard. I can't even imagine what you're going through, but we're going to get through this. And so that was a big help too. Just knowing, like Charlene and I were talking earlier about just being real with showing our emotions too.
I think as adults, we don't show emotion. We were taught, I feel like in our generation, like, you don't cry, especially boys. Like, boys don't cry.
Dry it up.
Right? Be tough. You're strong. Whatever.
There's so much to cry about.
And so we just have learned to suppress all emotions, unless it's a good emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And so then our kids don't know how to deal with it because they don't ever see us cry, or they don't see us angry and working through something or stressed out, But if we let them see that we have struggles too, and I mean, if I'm crying, like, my kids stare at me like, oh, Mom's crying, something really bad has happened. Yeah. No, like, I'm just going through something that day, or something is sad, or something super exciting or happy, and so that they know, okay,
it's okay.
It's okay to have emotion. It's okay to be upset. It's okay. and then how do I deal with this now?
And it's okay to have fear.
Right.
Like, kids feel so bad about themselves because they have this. Like, why aren't I like everybody else? You know how many times I heard from him, why do I have to be like this? Why am I like this? I don't want to be like this. And as much as I don't want him to be like this either, God is bigger than anxiety. And he will use this to help others. Dang it.
It's okay to have emotion. It's okay to cry.
Sugar. It just stinks.
But fear wouldn't be talked about in the Bible if God,
Right.
like, if he didn't think it'd be a problem. Like, it's in there for a reason. And
Yeah. Whew. So, counseling was great, but he still wasn't leaving the house. And so we did opt for medicine. And that was the last thing that I wanted to do, but it was to the point where he didn't want to go on. So,
and when your child gets to that point, you do whatever you can.
and we did. And it was the best thing that we did for him. And in weeks, he started eating, and he started leaving the house. And he did so much better, and he does great now. He gets on the high school varsity football bus as a 7th grader. And he goes to away games with them, and he's ball boy because we fought for him. So, yeah. Take it away, Charlene.
Well, there was something that you
I'm like,
well, there's
The
something that
end.
you had, right? We're gonna wrap this up. No, there's something that you had talked about. Oh, about why can't I be like everybody else? Why do I have to be like this? And social media has blown that out of the water because we have just put our best lives out there. Just little snippets of, oh, I'm having a great hair day today, or, oh, look at my new car, or, all my perfect children playing in the grass. And we just put our highlights out there, and then people don't understand why they are having a hard time, why their life isn't perfect, why they're dealing with anxiety, why they're...
I just read this morning that
Like, do you have to be somewhere?
I gotta go see ya. It is in the line, and I'll post it. I'll post it on here or wherever, about how we compare ourselves with everybody's best life to our worst life.
Right.
We do have a great life. We do have great things, but in our mind, we're comparing all of our worst things to their greatest things.
Right.
So, yeah.
So there again, like boundaries. Children need boundaries. Children need, they thrive on us setting, that's our job.
Mm-hmm.
That's our parent.
Yeah.
So,
And God says that if you don't set boundaries and then you don't discipline your children, then you don't love them. So, that's a tough pill to swallow.
and even if it's like, the family's taking an electronic free day today, just so kids can have a break. They don't get a break from anything, let alone comparing themselves to every other kid out there because of social media, phones, whatever.
Yeah. So let me see. So one of the other things we did is we set up a reward system for Aiden. If he could make it to 2 days of school, he would get whatever. And honestly, some days the reward wasn't enough. Like, we could have promised him the world.
The
and
anxiety was just
the
too
anxiety
overwhelming.
was too much, and then he beat himself up because
He wasn't getting the
he
reward.
didn't get the reward because he wasn't strong enough. He didn't feel like he was strong enough. So base the reward system on the little victories. So,
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes we set rewards that, like, they're not even feasible, like, as an adult. Like, stuff I wouldn't want to do, but I'm expecting my child to do it, and here's a sucker. Or, you know what I mean? Like, so little
Yeah.
victories, little, help build that up.
yeah. So why anxiety? Like, why are all these kids and adults, like, I don't want to just limit this to kids because I'm seeing so many adults going through this very same thing. So some of the things are like PTSD, things that they've seen, things that they've experienced, things that aren't really, that you picture as significant in your mind. I read a story about a little girl that had anxiety because she saw the neighbor girl's mom go away in an ambulance one morning. And the mom was okay. Everything ended up being okay, and she came home that day. But this little girl then couldn't go to school because she thought while she was away at school, her mom would have to be taken away in an ambulance and she wouldn't be there. So it's crazy what our minds will allow us to do, and what, I'm not gonna lie, Satan, our mind is a playground for him, and if he can make you handicapped and not able to serve the Lord, he will do that in any way possible.
And like you said, so many kids, we go to a chiropractor that does natural stuff too, and she says all of our children carry their stress in their stomach. Like, they pull, end up giving themselves like a hiatal hernia because their stomach ends up pulled up because of all their stress. And it's things that we can't even, like the ambulance thing, like that's even like out of our control.
Right.
And I mean, look at the world that we live in and everything that our kids see and are exposed to that we have no control over, that they internalize and don't even necessarily tell us about.
The fact that our kids have to do drills at school for an armed shooter, like, they have to practice what is going to happen if somebody comes into their school and starts shooting babies.
And that's just their normal life. Like,
yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, so another trigger might be an over-the-counter medication. A prescribed medication can cause anxiety. Puberty, the hormone shift, right there at 10, 11, 12 is rough. And I don't know what's going on with these bodies. Postpartum is a huge factor in anxiety. Menopause is a huge factor in anxiety. Do you know that, I forget what the statistic is about people that go through a divorce when the woman starts through menopause?
Really?
Yeah. It's ugly. So caffeine, nicotine can cause anxiety. Now we have vapes. What is this stuff? And your thought life. Sometimes you just have to retrain your brain to think positively, and to shut out the lies. So, what would you do if this was happening to you?
If I was having anxiety?
Yeah, like if it was real bad and like you were a hot mess express.
Okay, well, I used to take an over-the-counter medicine that would make my heart race and lead to anxiety issues. I don't take that anymore because I figured out what it was. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, at the beginning, I would have never thought that what it was. Birth control, also a big one that I cut out. Things like that I can take out of our home has helped a lot. I also have found that my diet is huge. Yeah. And when I eat garbage, then I have more issues.
Yes.
I mean, I even just feel better if I eat things that are not processed and not gluten and not full of sugar. And so I mean, that's a great place to start, I think. Clean up your diet. I mean, just try it for 2 weeks and you'll see such a huge difference. I can tell my kids eat like garbage because like I have a teenage daughter, and I can tell when she's eating worse than normal because she's not fun to be around. I love you, but you're not fun. You know that. So that's huge, I think.
Yeah.
Diet is definitely a huge thing.
Yep. Reach out. Like, tell somebody that you're struggling. Like, message me. Message Charlene. Like, if you're afraid to tell somebody else, your mom, your dad, your husband, wife, whatever it is, reach out to us. It'll be totally confidential, and we will help you through this process.
Sleep is huge, I think, because like we don't sleep enough. I mean, people in general. I am not. I'm a 6-hour girl. If I get 6 hours of sleep,
This was
Changed
a game changer.
your life.
Yeah, so I didn't really ever sleep, come to think of it, since I was a child. Like,
Well, it doesn't help that you're afraid of the dark.
I sleep with a light on. It's okay.
No, seriously though,
So-
did not sleep. Like,
Yeah. 12 times a night, I'd be up just wandering the house, like every half hour, just wandering, using oils. Oils would help, but I'd wake right back up an hour or so later. So until the CBD oil, it's infused with Young Living oils. It was a game changer. I sleep like a baby. Like, I wake up, I think I told you this the other day, like, the bladder's full, man. We got to go, because I have slept all night. So that's awesome.
and anybody that knows Tammy, like, didn't sleep, like, that's huge. Just
Yeah.
that she did.
Yeah.
I heard something on social media probably that says, when we stay up and watch mindless TV or scrolling Facebook or what, like, you're sabotaging your future self anyway. You're sabotaging your children because you're going to be miserable in the morning. You won't get anything accomplished, and that's a vicious cycle. So sleep and
Yeah. And watch that social media. Like,
yes.
any kind of electronics are horrible. Do you know kids are waking up in the middle of the night to check their phones, to play their games, to do their, I don't know, there's like competitions and stuff? Take your kids' phones, hide them. I knew of a family, and we talked about this before on here, that hid their kid's phone, and the child woke up in the middle of the night ripping the house apart because he needed his phone.
It's an addiction.
Yeah.
It is a legit addiction.
Get exercise. So when you exercise, your body releases feel-good endorphins. They're actually a natural cannabis. That's why when you use like something like with the CBD or like the roll-on, or what, I didn't even show you this is Calm. It's amazing. You just slather it on. It's so amazing. So it actually works with your brain. It doesn't have THC in it, so you're not going to be like getting high or addicted or whatever. But
Not all of them are
Right,
like this.
right.
Don't just buy
Right.
one from
Wally World.
right, because
Yeah.
they're not all
Yeah.
made the same.
So what it does is it helps your brain to release this feel good, this cannabis hormone, so that you can function. Okay, so we talked about natural ways, essential oils, and CBD. Get rid of video games. Limit time on their phones. What else?
I think about the video games today too. Like back in the day, it was Pong. I mean, it was a dot that beeped back and forth. Now there's like
The real live, legit people shooting people, like with guts, and disgusting.
it's bad.
Your kids, their brains see it as real. They don't decide, oh, this is a video game. That's not what the brain sees. The brain sees it as real and that it's okay. So, good golly, get rid of those.
Right, we can talk about
Okay, so we're up to 35 minutes here.
it. Yep,
So
it's time.
watch us in segments. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe you should put that at the beginning. You may need to watch us in segments.
But we're back, and we plan on doing this regularly. And if you have any anything you want us to talk about?
Oh, next week we have a guest.
Oh, we do have
Is
a
it
guest.
next week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. You're gonna
You're
wanna
gonna
see
love
this.
her.
Yes.
You're gonna love her. We're gonna get her liquored up. No, I'm kidding.
CBD'd up.
She doesn't need that to get fired up.
No.
We have a great friend that is joining us next week, and she has something that's been on her heart and she wants to share with the world. So why not the coffee bar?
Perfect place.
All right.
See you next week.